Welcome back to Let's Be Creative. My name is Melissa and we're going to do another art project today. We're going to take a little break from word art and try something new. Today we're going to do one of my favorite projects and also one of my favorite words to say. We're going to doodle! Doodles are small, simple drawings that can be used for decoration or as their own art piece. I like to add my doodles to my word art, to my journal, to my notes when I'm in class. You can doodle anywhere, as long as it's not somewhere you're not supposed to draw. So don't doodle on your parents' wall. So today, what I'm going to do is teach you how to doodle some of my favorite things, which happen to be plants. And as you can see from this image above me, cacti. So we're gonna go over some simple shapes, some color combinations, and you can use them in different ways to make them look different when it's really just the same few shapes over and over again. I think this is gonna be a really fun project, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Why don't we go ahead and get started?
To begin this project, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need a pad of paper, and we're going to need something to draw with. Now, it can be anything. I'm going to start with a pencil to show you some basic shapes. You can use markers, you could use colored pencils or crayons, or any colored pens that you have. So, what we're first going to do is we're going to break up into cacti, then we're going to do flowers, and then we're going to do vines. So for cacti, we are going to start with a rounded shape, almost like an oval, but it's going to go in at the bottom. Ovals are usually like this, so you want an oval that's wider at the top and thinner at the bottom. And there you go, there's your cacti shape. For the arms, you do similar shapes, wide up at the top, and then you connect it. I like my arms to be a little bit uneven, but you can make them even. If you want to make a shorter cacti, same basic shape. You can start with a point at the top and go lines down to give it sort of a round illusion of roundness. You also could do a very round one, almost like a circle. And again, you start with a point and lines that sort of follow the shape of it. And you could put a flower up here if you wanted to. Those are our basic cacti shapes. For flowers, you're going to start with a circle. Doesn't have to be perfect because nature is not perfect. We can do rounded petals. The shape is similar to the cactus, and you're going to connect them. I find that 5 to 6 petals are about as much as I can fit for a flower. They don't have to be exactly the same, but they want to be similar size. We can also do petals that are a little more pointy. They have a point at the end. They look a little more like leaves. And for pointier, they're not as wide, so you can fit more. See, I have 7 here and 5 here. Flowers look really different if you make the center bigger or smaller. So a bigger one with wide flower petals looks different than a small one with little petals. So just the size of the middle and the width or wideness of the petal and the shape of the petal is really going to change what your flower looks like. For vines, vines are really fun because you just make a curvy line and you can do leaf leaves that look like this. You could do leaves that look like this. You could do wide leaves. You could do thin leaves. It's up to you. I like this shape generally for my vines. So what you do is go on the left side, then the right side, left side, right side, left side, right side. See how they're all pointing in the same direction? They're pointing this way, left side, right side. All right. So these are our basic shapes, and then next we are going to combine them all together and make a full picture using these basic shapes. Let's get started.
To begin, what we're going to do first is lightly sketch our plants in pencil. You want to think about what the largest plants are going to be, and you want to draw them first. So I drew my big cacti first, and then I added my smaller cacti in front of it. For my center plant, I wanted it to look different from the cacti, so I drew a spiky cacti. I drew shapes that were similar to flower petals. Remember to draw both large and small plants to make your picture look a little more interesting. I drew a large flower that was similar to a sunflower. And to vary up the shapes, I then drew some little flowers along the bottom. So remember, draw big and draw small, and think about the balance of your artwork. Do you have both large and small plants? Are there sort of an even number of plants? Do you have enough space between everything? Try not to have too many plants on one side versus the other side. And to finish up the sketch, we are going to use the vines as a frame. See how it frames the bottom to make it look more like a finished piece. And now that we are finished with our sketch, we are going to erase any dark pencil lines so they don't show through when we color it. I try not to draw too dark when I'm sketching so that it's not difficult to erase, and I encourage you to do the same. Now we're ready to color. This is probably my favorite part, is getting to go over our sketch lines with color. I chose 3 different greens and then a couple of other bright colors. Remember to vary your colors to make it look more interesting. One thing that I will suggest is that you color the objects that are in front first. That way you don't have to color over something that you've already colored. So my orange flowers are in front. See how I colored my spiky cacti first? And now I'm going to the other objects that are behind. When you pick your colors, try to use both light and dark colors so you really can see the difference between each plant or object. See how my dark cacti and my light cacti are near each other? And then I'm going to use a bright yellow to make the flowers stand out from the cacti. And remember that doodling is supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be relaxing, it's supposed to help you focus on something else for a little bit, so have fun with it. Remember that we're not going for photorealism. We don't want it to look super realistic. We just want it to look like a fun kind of cartoony version of plants. So use different colors, add dots. Sometimes you can make little X's to show spines on cacti. If you want to show things behind other objects, you can use darker colors. So I did dark stripes on the part of the plant that is supposed to be behind. That is a good tactic. You can just use little stripes. Once we have our outlines, we now can color in our plants. You can color them in really neatly. I like to color mine in a little bit scribbly. I don't spend too much time coloring. I think that quick scribbly lines make the drawing a little more fun. So remember to scribble away. Now we are almost done coloring our picture. Our last thing that we're going to do is color in our vines. And see how the vines give it a nice frame, make it look a little more finished. But again, your doodles don't have to be finished pieces. They could just be doodles on a page in the margins. One thing that you can do to fill up space is just color in a light color like I do with the yellow. And that just about wraps up our plant doodle. Thank you so much for joining me for another art project. Please post your drawings in the comments. I would love to see them.